Welcome to The Explainer. So there's this viral video making the rounds, and it's making a pretty huge claim that the government is raking in hundreds of millions of dollars every time you feel that pain at the petrol pump. Today, we're going to break that argument down piece by piece and see exactly how they build their case. And really, it all boils down to this one question. A video from Pauline Hanson's One Nation is posing it, and we're going to trace their argument step by step to see how they get from A to B. All right, so let's jump into the first part of their argument. They call it the GST windfall. And what's interesting here is that they don't start with spreadsheets and calculators. Nope, they start with emotion, really framing this whole thing around the intense financial pressure high fuel costs are putting on, everyday people. I mean, take this quote. It's pulled right from the video's opening. This immediately sets up a really personal, high-stakes story. The message is pretty clear, right? They're saying this isn't just annoying or inconvenient. This is a full-blown crisis that's hitting people's basic needs, like putting food on the table. Okay, so that brings us to part 2, crunching the numbers. And this is where it gets really interesting, because you see how the video makes this sharp turn. It pivots from that very personal, emotional pain to a super specific financial accusation leveled directly at the government. So here's the absolute core of their claim. It all hinges on Australia's goods and services tax, the GST. Now, because the GST is a percentage, the logic goes like this. As the price of fuel goes up, the actual dollar amount of tax the government collects on every liter, well, that goes up too. And according to them, this creates a massive tax windfall. And this is the number. This is the big, explosive figure right at the heart of their whole argument. The video puts this number out there as the extra cash the government is supposedly pocketing every single month, all thanks to these higher prices. And this quote from the video really hammers that point home. That $300 million figure, it's not just mentioned once. It's repeated over and over in the video, making it crystal clear that this is the one number they want you to remember from their whole financial argument. So you're probably asking, okay, where does a number like that even come from? Well, according to the video, the numbers were crunched internally. And then they claim it was confirmed as accurate with someone from the NRMA. They tie that big final figure to some very specific and very recent price jumps for both diesel and unleaded. All right, on to part 3, assigning responsibility. And this is a really key moment because this is where the whole thing shifts gears. It stops being just a financial claim and turns into a direct political attack aimed squarely at the current Labor government. You can see the pivot happen right here. The narrator takes that problem, the high fuel prices, the supposed tax windfall, and points the finger straight to the top, calling out the Prime Minister by name. And from there, the focus gets even sharper. They zoom in on the Energy Minister, Chris Bowen, and really frame him as a central part of the problem, and not just a new problem, but one that's been around for a while. To back this up, the video throws out a few specific accusations. It brings up claims from journalist Andrew Bolt about potential fuel rationing down the line. It also alleges that Labor spent a bunch of money to block some kind of emergency response manual, a manual that they claim suggests things like cutting you off at the petrol pump after just $40. So, okay, they've laid out a problem, they've pointed the finger and assigned blame. And now the video moves into its final act. It's what we're calling a call for alliance. See, it doesn't just stop at criticizing. It actually proposes a very clear political solution. And they're not subtle about it. The ultimate goal is stated pretty plainly right here. The video is arguing that the current government needs to go, come the next election. And here's how they propose to make that happen. This is their strategy. It's basically a direct pitch for an alliance. They're telling the coalition, hey, stop attacking us. And at the same time, One Nation is offering up its numbers to help elect a coalition government. I mean, this quote from the video is pretty direct, right? It's provocative, and it really highlights just how urgent they see this and what kind of political partnership they're pushing for. It's definitely a memorable and very blunt call to action. So when you take a step back and look at the whole thing, you can see how it's all put together. It's a textbook example of political messaging. You start with an issue everyone can relate to, like the cost of something. Then you build a story that assigns blame, and you finish it all off by proposing a very specific political action. Ultimately, this whole video is just a fascinating case study. It really shows how that feeling of personal financial pain can be used to fuel a political narrative. And it leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? When things get tight financially, how does that pressure on our wallets really end up reshaping politics and the choices we make when we vote?